have you here now. Soon you will be heading south to Dunedin, to the Foreign Policy School. It's the 48th Otago University Foreign Policy School, and the theme is Pacific Geopolitics in the 21st Century. What specifically will you be talking about in Dunedin?
I think a lot of America's partners in Southeast Asia and the Pacific have questions about what does the American pivot or rebalance have to do. Is it sustainable? Are we in it for the long term? With the change in people and personalities, will we stay focused? Do we have the financial wherewithal to stay focused? Are we going to cut our defense budget? Are the economic engagement piece going to be part of our refocusing on Asia? So I'll be talking about those issues, and try to make the case that there's a compelling case for America to be engaged in this region, and we are very serious about our commitment to the region.
Thanks. So over the past year, Ernie, there have been a number of high-level US government visitors to New Zealand, including 4 cabinet secretaries. We've had Secretary Clinton, Panetta, Napolitano, and most recently Secretary Holder. What does this say about the current state of the US-New Zealand relationship in your view?
I think the U.S.-New Zealand relationship is the best it's been in maybe 30 years, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for both countries there. But we should keep working on it. That's a great lineup that you mentioned. The 4 cabinet secretaries. Likewise, New Zealand's ministers have been to the United States recently, and just last year we hosted John Key to meet President Obama, and we spent time with him, with our strategic thinkers in Washington. But I think we can't rest on our laurels. We have to take the relationship to a much more granular level, and that means a lot more interaction between Americans and Kiwis, and talking about things like the Pacific and Southeast Asia and global issues. And I think that's the challenge for us, to keep talking and expand that relationship.
Last year, Secretary Clinton visited the Cook Islands in an historic visit. She was the first Secretary of State to visit the Cook Islands, and the first Secretary to attend the Pacific Island Forum. In your view, what does her participation say about the importance of the Pacific Island Forum, the PIF, as a regional institution?
I think the PIF is exactly that. It's a key regional organization that the Americans need to participate in at a much higher level. Hillary Clinton set a benchmark that I'm not sure we'll be able to sustain every year, but the fact of the Pacific being an important part of what the new thinking in Washington in terms of our engagement in Asia is the new term is Indo-Pacific. Mm-hmm. So from India all the way through to the Pacific Islands, we need to up our level of engagement in these countries. Hillary Clinton clearly saw that. I don't know if Secretary Kerry will be in the Marshall Islands this year. Sure. But I do think that the level of engagement of the United States in the Pacific and with the PIF and specifically will be substantively increased from this point on.
Let's stay with the Pacific. What are the biggest challenges for this hugely important but often overlooked region?
Clearly they're facing major challenges from climate change, how to participate in global trade. They also need to think about energy. It's a major challenge there, and maritime domain awareness. For those islands to know who's in their waters, and fisheries. Fisheries policy is very important. So, the United States can add a lot of value on all of these issues. We should do so with partners like New Zealand and Australia and others. And I think responsible, respectful engagement of the Pacific is something the U.S. policy should aspire to and can achieve.
Let's move to trade now. Why is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, such a high priority for countries in the region like New Zealand? And is this a framework that could grow to include even more countries than is presently in the negotiating group?
Yeah, I think the TPP is really important because right now it's the only vehicle that the Americans have to engage in regional economic integration. I think that what you'll see over the next couple of years is the Americans moving to broaden the TPP criteria so that other countries are able to join. So I think what you'll see is a linkage of the TPP effort, which is a very high-level 21st century agreement, to more let's say, lower level, but significant regional integration efforts like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. So Americans will try to tie the TPP to RCEP and find a way for China to be involved, because, look, no one expects countries in the region, New Zealand or others, to put all their eggs in a regional economic integration plan that doesn't include its biggest economy. And so I think the United States understands that well.
The territorial disputes in Northeast and Southeast Asia are increasingly in the news, Ernie. What is the significance of these issues for countries like New Zealand, who are far away but dependent on trade?
Well, I think they're really important, because the question is, those waters that are disputed at the maritime level are the global trade routes. They carry fully over 1/2 of world trade, and if those waters turn into waters that are not connecting us but separating countries, and the waters are a source of conflict, then that would very seriously affect countries like New Zealand. I think the other issue there that you have to look at is there are real questions about what China is and what China wants to be. So as China climbs as an economic powerhouse, and I think it just became New Zealand's #1 trading partner, taking over Australia, the question is, how will China use that economic power in the region? And I think this is it's been a bit alarming for the Southeast Asian countries to see that in 2009 the Chinese drew this 9-dash line around the South China Sea and said, now this is a sovereignty issue, and by the way, we have economic leverage. We'd like to deal with you as individual countries, not as ASEAN. So I think New Zealand has to be careful and watch, how does China want to play its cards, and what does it want to be?
Looking back, we've had the 2010 Wellington Declaration, the 2012 Washington Declaration, and in May we held another hugely successful US-New Zealand Pacific Partnership Forum in Washington. Mm-hmm. How do you see the US-New Zealand strategic relationship evolving over the next 10 years?
I think it's on a great trajectory right now. The Americans and the Kiwis need each other. I don't think the Americans are asking New Zealand to choose between China and the United States. I think we have to not take for granted what's been good so far. We have to go further, and we should take the good accomplishments of Wellington and Washington and the Partnership Forum and institutionalize a deeper dialogue between our countries, because the Americans shouldn't assume that the Kiwis are sort of like Australia and are willing to do everything that the Australians are ready to do. And I think the Kiwis shouldn't assume that the Americans, sort of see Asia as sort of a bipolar world between, the United States and China. There's a lot more nuance to it than that. And I think the practitioners, your ambassador, David Hubner, and others would understand this well. But we have to broaden that understanding to legislative branches and our broader societies.
Ernie, thank you for your views and insight. Good to have you back in New Zealand, and hope you enjoy your stay.
Thanks, Craig. It's good to be here.